Welcome back to Week 16 with Mike and the Feather for the NFL picks. Let's get right into it. We are down to 3 full weeks, full slates of games. 16 games for the next 3 weeks. We got actually a lot of interesting storylines in the NFL coming up. As far as our results last week, briefly, 7-9. Still, we're getting back on the right track. But man, some of those games, we can say it week after week. But getting pipped by points, the Falcons game on Thursday night. How many times, if I told you I could give you a bet where you'd be up by 14 with 10 minutes to go, you only have to cover 5.5, and by the way, the team you're playing against has over 19 penalties for 140 yards. How often would you not take that bet to cover 5.5? And yet they still lose the game outright. So congrats, Falcons. You're really good at winning games you shouldn't.
That division is a dumpster fire. Like literally Carolina beats, the Rams, they beat the Packers, but then they lose last week. I mean, the Falcons, beat the Bills and
it's entertaining from a sports fan standpoint, unless you're a fan of some of these teams.
Right.
And I will say our condolences. I know we're not happy Patrick Mahomes is out, but that is a rather rough way to end the Chiefs' streak. Although you did say in the very beginning of the week, Chiefs are most likely going to come in third in the division and miss the playoffs.
I said in week one.
Week one, yeah.
Yeah, week one that they were going to finish third and miss the playoffs. And let's be clear, they did not win because of Mahomes' injury. I mean, Mahomes got injured when the game was over. So it's unfortunate. You never want someone to be injured. Micah Parsons dealt with a wicked injury. He's going to have surgery. But the Chiefs are not the team. Travis Kelce has proven to be kind of truculent, obviously. I mean, here he's the happiest, cockiest guy in the world when they're winning. But I said, you really find out what credibility and what character someone has when they're losing. Travis Kelce refuses to talk to the media. He won't shut up the last 7 years when he wants to brag, but he won't take accountability or speak on a mic. He'll speak on his podcast that he controls. So you know what? I don't have much respect for that. The Chiefs are done. Most of the world is happy about it, as am I.
I'm actually just curious to have seen if they would have sat Mahomes had they lost that game with him still in it for the last 3 games. Would he have played? I'd be actually very curious to see how that full contingent of a team handles playing games with nothing on the line. But
yeah, the question is we'll find out next year what's going to happen.
30-year-old Patrick Mahomes hits his 30s. We'll see how he does in season 8.
Yeah. We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
But let's talk about the current time, Week 16 in the NFL. And we got 16 games. We're going to start off with Thursday Night Football, of course, and that will feature the LA Rams looking really good at the Seattle Seahawks, who just squeaked by. Grandfather Time was playing against the Seahawks and nearly got the upset victory for the Colts. But in this heads-up matchup, it is -1 in favor of the Rams right now.
Huge game. I mean, epic game. I mean, Seattle's at home. They got the 12th man there. Tough place to play. And that game was in doubt till the very end against Old Man River, literally. And I think it was a case where Seattle was overlooking the Colts with Rivers in to the next big game. That's the problem when you're a big, huge favorite like that. You might kind of look to the Rams. And I think that's kind of what happened. I definitely think, Sam Darnold could have played a little bit better, but the Seattle team's defense is really good, and all around they're a well-coached team. The Rams, on the other hand, they said, hey, Detroit, we're going to throw punches with you in the middle of the ring and be the last one standing. And what happened is Detroit played into the Rams. They should have ran the ball more and not gave the Rams so many opportunities. The Rams put up, I think, somewhere 500 and some odd yards, almost 600 yards of offense. Now, Detroit had 300 yards the first half, but then they kind of were shut down in the second half. This is a huge game. But unfortunately, Devontae Adams on a short week, he aggravated his hamstring or quad, whatever it is. And I have McVay has not committed to it, but I have a hard time thinking he's going to play on a short week. They're going to err on the side of caution, knowing that they need him for the future. And Puka Nacua, had a scare, but he's going to be fine. So that's good. This defense looked good. Huge game. First place in the division. Number 1 seed on the line as well. And I'm going to give this one to the Seahawks, +1. I think that losing Devonta Adams, I don't believe he's going to play. And I think the one important emergence is Rashid Shaheed. He, got brought over in a trade by the Saints, and he actually stepped up big. And he's someone that needs to be a nice 1-2 combo with JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. And Cooper Kupp's catching it and getting involved a little bit. If they get that running game going that they couldn't do against the Colts, this offense now with Rashid Shaheed has become way more intimidating with that extra, facet. So that being said, Thursday Night Football, short week. I'm going to take the home dog, even though it's only 1 point, to get it done. Seattle, +1. Boom.
All right, before we move into Sunday, I wanted to throw something in there just because I don't want to ever be accused of burying information. I did say we were 7-9 last week. We were 0-2 on Take It to the Bank picks. But I wanted to add from a personal note, ironically, we had 4 picks prior to the video, and we opted to go with 2. Guess which 2 won and which 2 didn't? The 2 we sat on. And one of those teams that we would have actually banked it because it seemed like what you should do. Hey guys, hold on a second. This is Mike from a little bit in the future. I'm about to talk about the Eagles game and the Packers game, and I totally forget to mention these are Saturday game, not Sunday games. So the Eagles will be playing at 2 p.m. and the Packers will be playing at 5:20. It should be right on your screen. Now back to the Feather and his expert analysis. The Philadelphia Eagles, coming off of their vacation against the Las Vegas Raiders, are now traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders, who now Jaden Daniels sitting down for the next 3 games. I mean, that guy played half a season. Every other game he was getting hurt. Commanders are out of it. Obviously, it's still a division matchup, but that division, pretty much the Eagles, I think, have that locked up for their playoff spot, probably the 3rd seed. Going into Washington, they are 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, with Dallas losing against Minnesota, which was a shocker to me. J.J. McCarthy is very complex. I don't understand that guy. But the Eagles did what I thought they would, and they trounced the Raiders. No surprise to anybody. Now it's a huge game against Washington. It feels like 6.5 is a little bit light. The question is, it is a division rival. They are on the road. I mean, Jane Daniels is shut down the rest of the year, so it's going to be, go with Mariota the rest of the year going forward. Terry McLaurin looked good last week. This Washington team probably is going to have some fight in them still, but Philadelphia, I think, they're going to figure it out the next 3 games. They're obviously going to take the division. The question is can they finish strong and win the last 3? I'm going to keep it very simple. Philadelphia, I think they're going to get it going on the running side and the passing side. I think they're going to keep on clicking, at least for this week yet. Take Philadelphia -6.5 to cover the spread.
All right, let's move on to the 3rd game, 2nd of Sunday, which is already our matchup of the week. And honestly, Bud, there were quite a few games that I guess could be considered matchups. And I know might say a little bit of a homer pick for this one, but honestly, this is big. A lot of storylines going on. The Packers just had a lot of unfortunate injuries. You mentioned Micah Parsons. He's out. Christian Watson is injured as well. You got some linemen going down. It was a brutal game against the Broncos. And you are on the road to the Chicago Bears, who just got over a trouncing. The team is killing people with their takeaways and scoring off of those turnovers. It's a big matchup. Packers -1 despite all the injuries. So let's hear it.
First of all,
rubber game of the matchup.
Last week against Denver, brutal result. Micah Parsons goes out, done for the year. Huge loss. I mean, you're talking a guy that was a potential top 3, defensive player of the year candidate. Then they lose. Christian Watson, the reports on him after his injury are he should be okay. Will he play this week? He has a chance. It was just an unfortunate turn of events. And the Packers started out the 3rd quarter. They were up 9 points. And, hey, they fell short to a very solid Denver team that has a top-notch defense. And hats off to Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been struggling throughout the year or been inconsistent somewhat. He kept on it and kept on the gas, and they turned it around. Did it matter that Micah Parsons went out? Yes, most likely it did. But regardless, the Packers lost, and now their backs are up against the wall again. And really, that game didn't make a huge difference for the Packers because now they're in the same boat they were when they played the Bears the first time around. win and you take over the division and you move up in the seeding. So nothing's changed. It's literally a flip-flop. Green Bay absolutely controls their destiny, okay? So they win out, they win a division. If they win this game, most likely they win a division. But there's a huge toss-up. I mean, in the AFC, there's a situation that can come into play where the top 7 seeds, or 6 of the top 7 seeds could finish 11-6 on the year. It could work out that way. So in regards to this game, it's in Chicago. We know how cocky the Bears coach was when he got, his first interview when he got the head coaching job, saying it's going to be fun beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. Well, it didn't work out game 1. Now it's game 2 on the road in Chicago. And what's going to happen? Everyone's wondering what I'm going to pick, okay? Green Bay's defense is still top-notch, okay? They're still a great defense. They still have a great running game. They still have a quarterback that is better than Caleb Williams, and they still have better wide receivers. I believe they're, better coached overall. You got a new head coach in Chicago, yet to prove himself 100%. Matt LaFleur in December has only had lost, I believe, 3 or 4 times going into last week in the whole month of December. Jordan Love has been dominant in the month of December. So bottom line, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to take the Green Bay Packers -1. They're going to get it done until Chicago proves that they can beat Green Bay in a game that matters, because last year when they won the last week of the year, it did not matter. I'm going to ride with the team that is the daddy to the Chicago Bears for the last 25 years. Bottom line, take the Packers -1. Boom.
All right, and then we got the Buffalo Bills, who just took back some, I should say, it took back some of their own steam, but also took a lot out of the Patriots' steam right now. Patriots were 30 minutes away from winning the division, and now they got a little bit of a battle. And but we're here about the picks, and right now, this is only one of 2 double-digit spreads right now. Last week was insane. The Buffalo Bills are -10 on the road at the Cleveland Browns. And throw in a note, how does this bode for our fantasy playoff matchup against Myles Garrett and the Browns defense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Caleb Williams can put up a bunch of points, and the Bears did pretty well, and the Chicago Bears did well at home against Cleveland, I would think that Josh Allen and the Bills should be able to do pretty well. This Cleveland team is broken. Kevin Stefanski's probably heading out the door potentially. Shedeur Sanders, regressed. He's a rookie. He's got a ways to go. We'll find out. The jury's still out on him, but he looked terrible in that game after, having a pretty solid game the week before. This Bills team, though, to come in to a hostile New England, trail 21-0, and to come back and win the game like that, says something. And it says Josh Allen is Superman, and he is the MVP of this league right now. And he should end up getting it again. This is huge because you figure that they're now a game back of New England. New England plays Baltimore in Baltimore. So the division, the number 1 seed is not likely. I think Denver's going to hold on to that probably, most likely. But winning the division and, say, getting the number 2 seed would be pretty critical, right? 10 points is a lot of points in the NFL. But I think Buffalo is going to steadfast. They're going to keep strong, and they're going to get it done. Take the Bills -10 because there's no way I'm going to take Shedeur Sanders after getting whipped 31-0 or whatever it was. 3 against, the Bears. Josh Allen should be able to do that equally. And for our fantasy team, hopefully it's big numbers for Josh Allen because we want to go to the Super Bowl.
But not too big, so he plays all 4 quarters. So
we don't want it to be too big of a blowout,
right.
But take the Bills -10.
All right, and then the meaningless game. The New York Jets are on the road against the Saints. Which Saints team shows up? Is this the Jets team that actually wins a game against it? I don't know. Saints are -4.5. Both teams playing for literally nothing.
All right,
literally they're playing for nothing.
There's games that I got to pick. I mean, this game is garbage. It's pure trash. Don't bet it, please. I mean, just flip coins for money instead if you're going to have to do something. But in this case, the Jets probably going to have their third-string quarterback again. The Saints, they looked okay last week. I mean, the Saints keep winning and shocking, teams. They beat Tampa Bay. They beat Carolina.
Take the hot hand.
Like what's going on? The Saints can't even lose correctly to get a good draft pick that they need. This division is a mess, and who's going to come on top? We'll find out sooner than later. But this game, for the sake of it, that I'm just not going to take the Jets because they're trash. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints -4.5.
I think you have to on that one.
Keeping it simple, but don't bet it.
All right. And then also, talk about draft picks. We're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings are on the road at the New York Giants. Actually, this is Editor Justin's favorite lifelong team versus my favorite lifelong team. Both of us have suffered, but I have multiple Super Bowls, so I will leave it at that. But congrats to New York Giants. Right now, if the season were to end, our first number one pick in 60 years. 1965 was the last time the Giants had the number one pick in the NFL. I don't know who the hell they took. But that is the game, and it's Minnesota Vikings -3. J.J. McCarthy versus Jackson Dart.
J.J. McCarthy has played two good games in a row after everyone thought maybe, like I said, he's young. He's got time yet, but people had kind of closed the book on him in a lot of ways. And then he puts up together two good games and beat Dallas in the Big D, which, shouldn't shock us because Dallas folds at the end of most years, usually, but in this case, another game that it just doesn't mean anything to the Giants. It doesn't mean anything to Minnesota, but Minnesota seems to be wanting to win and do better, obviously, to find out what they have in J.J. McCarthy. So the motivation to me, and it's not the key. I mean, when I say a team is motivated, that's not like the only factor when taking a team in a pick or a bet. But I just believe that the Giants are beat up. They're hampered. Jackson Dart's a 50-50 to be concussed. I mean, I think
I was going to say, I can't believe he still hasn't gone.
Something like 60% of the games he's gone.
Got to slide or give up a run.
Yes, I think it's 60% of the games or more. He's gone into a situation where they went in the concussion protocol to see how he was. Some of them he wasn't concussed, obviously, but in this case, the Minnesota Vikings -3. We're going to roll with it. I think they're just a better coach team. Obviously, they have a true head coach. And all around, they're the better team as it stands right now. Take the Vikings -3 in a game that you really shouldn't touch either because it's pointless. So,
all right. And then here we go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you mentioned, they're on a skid at the Carolina Panthers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers -3, and they need a win.
Yeah, Tampa Bay went on a skid. They lost to the Saints at home, favored by 8.5. Then they lose to,
Falcons.
The Falcons at home.
Gross. In a horrible horrible
fashion, up 14. And then on the other side, Paul, you got the Panthers losing to the Saints. Who wants the division? This is going to decide it right here, pretty much. I mean, the winner of this game is going to be a huge step towards that direction. And Tampa Bay, they got Mike Evans back. He looked great. Mike Evans looked great. They're kind of, Mbuka might be hitting the rookie wall potentially. We'll see. I think some of his problems have been the fact that Baker Mayfield has failed to deliver the ball to him accurately. Bucky Irving is, back to Bucky Irving form. He's healthy again. This team, their defense, that's the problem, I guess. Their defense suddenly, especially against Atlanta, looked really poor, and that's a problem. It's a division battle in Carolina, but I trust in Baker Mayfield way more than I do in Bryce Young, and I trust in this offensive nucleus more than I do in the offense of Carolina. I think Tampa Bay gets the W. They cover the -3, and we're going to take it to the bank. Tampa Bay is not going to lose the third game in a row. They're going to get it done. They're going to take control of the division. Boom.
Well, here we go. Meaningless game now, but it will be interesting to see what they put on the field. Kansas City Chiefs -3.5 at the Tennessee Titans.
Garbage game.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to find out how much heart this franchise has because, like I said, it's been a great 7-8 years. And when you're winning, everyone smiles and happy and playing jolly-go-lucky and talking and interviewing and laughing. Well, Travis Kelce's not laughing anymore. He's kind of being a little bitch, frankly, the last couple of weeks. Sorry, Taylor Swift fans. I know you're going to come for me.
Yes, all the Taylor Swift fans we have who watch this channel,
but
other than your wife.
Yeah, right? But, okay, so here's the thing. We're going to find out what kind of character this team has because Tennessee's terrible. Tennessee's playing for a draft pick. And these are all professionals. They're going to try to win. Tennessee's at home, 3.5 points, underdogs. Gardner Minshew is the quarterback, but how much heart, and this is a gut check for Kansas City. I don't like the hook. I don't like they're on the road playing for nothing. This is an experience that the Kansas City Chiefs have not felt in the last 7-8 years. And I don't think they're going to know what to do with it. I think they're going to have a major hangover, and it might be the difference. Kansas City might win by 3, but I don't have faith that they're going to win by a touchdown. And I think there's a reasonable possibility with Gardner Minshew at quarterback and this team having their heart gutted that they just come in and they lay an egg and lose outright. So with that being said, we're going to take the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 in the hook. It's a key factor to get it done. Potentially upset alert, but I think the hook will be the difference. Kansas City, best case scenario, wins by 3. Boom.
All right, continuing the Sunday games, we have the Los Angeles Chargers sitting pretty comfortably in their division, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who are now basically done. Like I said, this is the Eagles' division, but the Cowboys are 2-point favorites at home.
Yeah, Cowboys 2-point favorites at home. The Chargers, they got it done and put a sweeping on the Chiefs. First time in a long time since that happened. Justin Herbert is the key factor, okay? He's still nursing that surgery that's now a little over, almost 2 weeks ago on his left hand. But this defense has been the key. The defense looked great the last 2 weeks, and the running game is solid. I think they're going to lean on Omari and Hampton big time going forward to get it done. On the other side of the ball, this Dallas team, they fell short. They came out flat. They had an opportunity against Minnesota to keep the train rolling. It derailed. And I'm frankly confused by this line, but, like you said, it's the NFL. You give the nod to the home team often, and the points, it's 3 points to be at home. It's a tough game. It really is. But I like the Chargers this one. We're going to go with the Chargers plus 2 for the upset. I think the 2 points, good chance that they win outright. I just don't think Dallas has anything left in the tank. I mean, it's one of those games you're better off probably just leaving alone outright once again, because Dallas, are they going to come out playing hard, or are they going to come out playing flat like they did against, a Minnesota team now that Dallas is playing for nothing? So we'll see, but Chargers plus 2 is where I'm going.
I like that one.
Boom.
All right, last morning game, and can I jump the gun and say this is probably a don't touch it game? But we got the Cincinnati Bengals on the road with the Miami Dolphins. Bagels are the bagels. They put up a bagel, actually. That wasn't intentional. That was a big old bagel this past week. They're minus 1.5 on the road. Joe Burrow said he's not having fun. Didn't look like he had any fun this past Sunday. Tua, let's just face it, Tua's done. And possibly some justification now for Brian Flores when he was not a big fan of Tua. Because honestly, I think Tua needs to step away before he gets put down one time too many. He's not the future. That team is in shambles. And the Bengals are a huge question mark. So as my paper flies to the floor like both of their seasons did, just drop like a rock, what do we do with the Bengals minus 1.5?
This game is, okay, the Bengals are in my graveyard, okay, because they are dead to me. Joe Burrow, I don't know. Is he going to pull Andrew Luck and retire? Because he's not happy. It might be he needs a season off to kind of reconnect. I mean, he's been beat up. He's been hurt a lot. His team, the Bengals might literally be in a battle with the Jets for their worst run franchise in football right now, okay? But then you got the Miami Dolphins, who we saw how they played yesterday. They're at home. Cincinnati, T. Higgins, he shouldn't play. He's had 18 concussions this year, so T. Higgins is questionable. The heart of this Bengal team is questionable. The defense, we know, is really bad. Once again, another game. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. But I'm going to give the nod because the only guy I do believe in is A-Chain. Okay, I believe in A-Chan, the running back for Miami, that he's the one solid constant. And we're going to go with Miami. We're going to take Miami. It's gross. Miami plus 1.5, because I think at home it's going to be the difference. And in a game that doesn't matter, Miami plus 1.5. Don't touch this game. It's pointless.
Afternoon games, 105. I always say all right. Why do I say all right? I don't know. It's okay, though. Okay, 105 in the afternoon, starting off with the Atlanta Falcons looking to take on the Arizona Cardinals, two teams that don't know who the hell they are and win games they shouldn't occasionally. Falcons minus 2.5 on the road.
Another dumpster fire game.
Yeah, I know. This we had huge matchups this past
there's
week.
There's like 6 good matchups this week, but then there's a whole bunch of really bad, pointless matchups. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins trying to play for a future, possibly. Drake London still is in doubt as far as whether he's going to play with his injury. He's been out for a while now, for a good couple weeks. Bijan Robinson obviously is a stud. With that guy in the field, the offense can definitely cook. Outside of that, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was the man last week. If you would have said Kyle Pitts would score 3 touchdowns in any game, and you would have made that prediction 3 years ago, you would have been laughed at. Kyle Pitts, the leading fantasy football stat line last year, and he won multiple playoff advancements for people. Whoever had to go up against Kyle Pitts last week most likely lost and are out of the playoffs for fantasy football. Arizona, you got Jacoby Brissett, who's a guy that's playing pretty good football. Trey McBride, if you have him, you're super happy. Trey McBride is crushing it with Jacoby Brissett as opposed to Kyler Murray. Will Marvin Harrison Jr. be back? I don't know, but he's been out with the appendix situations. They're gonna sit him down the last 3 weeks, because what's the point of putting him in there, and risking? I mean, I don't know what the risk is when you get an appendix out of further injury, right. But why play him? So we'll see. In his absence, Michael Wilson is playing great football. He's been a huge fantasy football bump for people that picked him up. This game, once again, another game that is completely meaningless, and it's in Arizona. Atlanta, who knows? We're going to get the Atlanta team that beat Tampa Bay and beat Buffalo, or we're going to get the Atlanta team that lost 30-0 to Carolina and a bunch of other bad teams. Your guess is as good as mine. Leave this game alone. But I think I'm going to give the nod to Atlanta because Bijan Robinson and Kirk Cousins, two guys that play with lots of heart. Kirk Cousins is going to give 100% all the time. We know that. And for that, I'm going to bet on Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson this one to get it done, minus 2.5. Boom.
And then at 125, go from that matchup to a much better one. The Jacksonville Jaguars head over to Denver. And the first place Broncos, first team to lock up a playoff spot over there in that conference. Broncos get the -3 from being at home.
Jacksonville had a big week last week. Travis Etienne had a monster 3-touchdown game. Jacoby Myers getting added to the roster, coming over from the Raiders, was a huge trader acquisition to give them a little more spark in the offensive side. Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie standout last year, came out flat this year. He's looking better as of late. So now they got a nice 1-2 punch at receiver. Travis Etienne is beasting out, and Trevor Lawrence had another monster week, and one of the biggest fantasy football weeks of the year, definitely amongst quarterbacks and overall. But they're coming into Denver. And Denver, we saw what they did against Green Bay. They played solid on both sides of the ball, and they got it done in a very tough matchup. Denver's defense is outstanding. This could be a game that definitely Jacksonville, an East Coast team traveling to, a colder, higher elevation Denver, a very tough place to play in a very important division, not a division battle, but AFC battle that could reign huge for playoff implications for both teams. It tells you that Vegas has turned their opinion over on Jacksonville a little bit, because only 3 points for the team that has the best record in football against a Jacksonville team that people weren't believing in about 5 weeks ago. And yet it's only a 3-point spread. So it's a tough game, but I'm liking Denver in this one. So much so that we're going to take Denver to the bank, -3 at home to get it done. I like them at home. The defense, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be okay, but this defense is going to give them enough problems that they're going to cover the 3 and get it done. Boom.
Let's look at one of those better games again. Pittsburgh Steelers, some might say is a better game. Has more on the line here too than some of these games. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers go to Detroit. think I checked on. I think they said that Detroit wins this game. They're like 55% to make the playoffs. I mean, it's amazing how this team is looking up, and they're losing all the big games. But Pittsburgh needs to get their 9th win so they can finish at least 9-8. But Detroit Lions -7 at home.
Detroit has to have this game definitely to make it so that when they play the last game of the year against Chicago, it has more meaning. So ultimately, Detroit needs Green Bay to beat Chicago. Detroit has to win this game, and now it really puts a relevance to the last game of the year where they can possibly control their own destiny. But it starts first at home against Pittsburgh, who Aaron Rodgers looked really good last night. DK Metcalf, he's getting some love, catching some balls, looking good. Mm-hmm. They were without TJ Watt yesterday, and it didn't matter. Now, granted, it was against Miami, who does not win in under 40-degree weather pretty much. And
that held true last night.
Held true again. Will TJ Watt play this week? They really could use him. It's going to be up in the air whether he plays or not. But Detroit at home is a whole different animal. First of all, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh is not going to be able to put up the offense and hang with Detroit the way the Rams did. That's first and foremost. So I think that Detroit's focus is going to be more on Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery this week, pounding the ball, passing when necessary, but controlling the clock a little bit, and hopefully running up the score because Pittsburgh cannot hang with them flat out. Can Aaron Rodgers pull a rabbit out of the hat? Because he's in a spot right now where they have the lead against Baltimore. Baltimore is a tough game against New England. So if Pittsburgh can pull this out, and then assuming that New England is going to get the win potentially against Baltimore, that could be a huge step in the direction for Pittsburgh locking up their playoff position. What's it going to be? 7 points, Detroit at home, back up against the wall. Like I said, that's not the only factor, but it's super important for them. Dan Campbell and this offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a beast wherever, but at home he's extra dangerous. Jamison Williams is an absolute stud. He's been getting more and more involved the last few weeks ever since they were talking about how they needed to get him more involved. This offense is too good. The defense is problematic. I said that weeks ago that Detroit's defense could be a problem going forward, but in this case, their offense is going to make up for any defensive deficiencies. We're going to take the Detroit Lions -7 to the bank. Ooh. Yes, Detroit is going to get it done. They're going to cover the spread. It's going to be the third bank pick of the week. We're on a train to go 3-0 with the bank picks as of right now. Boom.
All right, let's talk about another game that, speaking of picks, the Raiders, who have now fallen to 5th, I think, in the NFL draft rankings, are traveling over to Houston, -14, Houston Texans.
The Texans just keep on rolling. This defense is something special.
And this is the biggest point spread of the week,
yep.
Which is not surprising against the Raiders.
Yeah, 14 points at home. Nico Collins looked outstanding again last week. You know, C.J. Stroud's getting it done. You know, he was out for a while. He's finding his rhythm. You know, their running game is mediocre, but like I said, they cut their teeth on their defense. That is the key. They shut teams down. They put teams in rough spots. They turn the ball over and give their offensive good, short fields. This Raiders team, do they have any heart left, Mike? I don't know.
They have heart to begin with.
Right now.
Go back to that first week. They had a lot of heart coming out of that first win, and then
I'm assuming Kenny Pickett's playing at the quarterback position. I don't know. Gino's still benched.
Gino's still hurt from what I looked at earlier.
Yeah, hurt. This team is a dumpster fire. There's a lot of dumpster fires, but the Raiders are definitely a dumpster fire. They got to figure it out. In the offseason, they got to make some moves. They got to hopefully hit on some draft picks. I mean, they have Brock Powers. They have Genti. But outside of that, they don't have much else. And Pete Carroll might not be the answer there. 14 points is a lot for the Texans. I mean, it really is. But this defense literally could pitch a shutout against this Raider team because they've done better against better teams. The Texans' defense is the key. This game might end up being 17-0. But I think the Texans can easily, with Nico Collins and the fact the Raiders' defense is nothing but apathy, they get it done. It's a big spread, but we're going to take the Houston Texans -14 to cover. I would say you're going to look at a score somewhere in the neighborhood of like 27-10 type situation, and probably that 10 is going to be because of backdoor garbage score by the Raiders. But they're going to cover the 14 and get it done. Boom.
Kind of makes you wonder what would have happened if Gruden had still been the coach after all these seasons, but that is what it is. Let's look at probably the last great game of the week. The New England Patriots are on the road, as you mentioned just a little bit ago, to the Baltimore Ravens. Big game for both teams. Patriots need the win. I mean, they want to try and keep a shot at taking the AFC or taking it from their division from the Bills. Baltimore Ravens 7-7 need the win. Hey, before that week they were 6-7. Now they're 7-7.
Oh, jeez.
I'm 50 years young. -3 Ravens. I'll shut up now, so the video's not 8 hours.
Big game. I mean, the Patriots, we know what kind of collapse they had, and to the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens took care of business and pitched a perfect game pretty much against Cincinnati. This game is interesting. Is Drake May all of a sudden, everyone's like MVP candidate. Now I think he kind of played himself out of that situation.
I think it was borderline going into that.
Yeah.
You know what? It was so funny. I think going into the Bills game, I think he was borderline MVP still.
Right.
Had he won that game, that would have propelled him.
Right.
But losing it just sinks him all the way down.
100%. Baltimore, they played a heartless opponent in Week 15. So, it's just one of those things. The jury's still out on Baltimore. Lamar Jackson didn't look particularly great. Derrick Henry, he looked solid. I mean, Derrick Henry put up some decent stat lines. He got some good per carry yardage. I think they got to feed him the ball and lean on him a little bit more going forward. New England, are they the new kids in the block? Are they back? Are they not back? I mean, it's the jury's still out. I mean, if you look at New England's schedule and the teams they've beat, they've been opportunistic. They played a lot of bad teams and beat a lot of bad teams. Their schedule's been played out pretty easy. I mean, you got to play what's on your schedule, right? It's not your fault that you're playing teams that have to be pretty bad. But now they all of a sudden lose to Buffalo. What's going to happen? Both these teams are the AFC is up in the air. I mean, it's super up in the air. It's one of the first years where basically from 1 seed to 7 seed, it's the next 3 weeks are going to be very telling. In this case, I'm going to go with the Patriots +3.
I agree.
I like the Patriots and the points against a Baltimore team that, whether they're home or they're away, they've proven their defense has been questionable most of the season. Lamar Jackson hasn't played great by any means. It's getting to be towards the end of the year where Lamar Jackson either folds in the playoffs or folds leading up to the end of the year. We're going to see which team is for real and which team is going to fail. I mean, pretty much a Baltimore loss, and depending on what Pittsburgh does, they're going to be all but out of it. I think New England gets this one done. Take the Patriots +3. Boom.
Monday Night Football is a game that I feel like we know what the outcome is going to be, but it might be kind of fun to watch. Phillip Rivers on the field again with the Colts at home against the San Francisco 49ers, who looked really good except for that field goal at the end that gave us unnecessarily lack of covering of the spread. But the 49ers and Brock Purdy -5.5, and pretty damn impressive. They're still doing all this with a quarter of their team out.
Well, on the positive side, the Niners did get back, Ricky Parasol. Ricky Parasol looked really good this last week. So now you got the Jennings-Parasol combo. George Kittle has been playing really good football. And, of course, McCaffrey, he was questionable going into this week, but he played and he looked okay. The man is appearing to be bulletproof this year, even though they're running the heck out of him. I mean, He is a thoroughbred for them. The defense, which played solid this last week. Like I said, they're missing their 2 best players on defense for the rest of the year, but they're getting it done. Now, granted, San Francisco has also been a team that benefited from a very favorable schedule this year as a whole, but they keep winning. Indy, on the other side, unfortunately, due to injury and everything else, they've lost, 4 in a row now, and they're playing themselves out of the playoffs, which you would have never have thought that if you talked to us, 5 weeks ago. But injuries happen, things change. Philip Rivers played an okay game. I mean, for being a grandfather that's bordering 45 years of age,
Boy, he just turned 44. As someone who just turned 50, please don't border him on 45 already, a week out of his birthday.
I mean, so he's 44. I mean, the guy was not probably training. He was coaching a high school Catholic football team. But I give him credit. Seattle's a tough place to play and a very tough defense that have given fits to better quarterbacks and more athletic, younger quarterbacks. Philip Rivers held up pretty good.
Yeah.
And honestly, when they went down, he put them in position to kick the game-winning field goal. Unfortunately, there was just enough time on the clock that it went the other direction, and they lost by, a game-winning field goal. They're at home, so at least they're going to be in a friendly environment. Jonathan Taylor should be able to run on this San Francisco team, but I just think that Kyle Shanahan is going to come up big against Philip Rivers. I mean, this guy is a heck of a coach. He's going to put up a defensive scheme to create lots of problems for Philip Rivers in this offense. 5.5 on the road, normally I'd say is quite a bit, but due to the fact that Philip Rivers, it's questionable how well he can throw the ball down the field, and if he can't throw the ball down the field, it's going to be pretty hard to get separation with these receivers, and even if they lean on Jonathan Taylor, I don't think it's going to be enough. San Fran's going to win this game. Will they cover is going to be the key. And I think San Francisco is going to keep on building momentum. They're going to get it done. Take the San Francisco 49ers minus 5.5 to the bank as our fourth and final bank pick of the week. We're going 4-0. It's been a rough couple weeks. Sorry about that. NFL is a tough thing, but you know what? We're going to get back on track in a big way this week. Take the Niners. Boom.
If the NFL was easy, the Giants would win every Super Bowl. As it goes.
All right. Are you day drinking again, Michael?
Oh, I need to start. It's getting late today. That's week 16. Thank you for putting up with me. And we will be back for another 2 weeks and then the playoffs next week. I know it's crazy with the holidays. We thank you guys for being here. We hope you'll like and subscribe if you haven't already. Christmas in just about 8 days. And the podcast next week will actually be coming out Monday night because of the Christmas week. So we will actually do the podcast. Our Christmas extravaganza on Monday. Christmas extravaganza. I'm leaving that in. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back here next Monday, as Jason just mentioned. And I hope you have a great week. I hope your holidays are going good. Hope you're just staying safe. I'll talk to you next week. Until then, take it to the bank. Boom.